and that we had to do that, right? And we'd seen it true with white folk as well, is because they were the farmers that hated us, and we had no reason to hate them because they had freedom and we didn't have it, so we really knew what we wanted, right? Now, that was the number one thing, and the number two thing was money. But the third thing that we really wanted was education, and we wanted it badly, all right? There were those of us who had learned to read just by being around the place. And by the way, Phyllis Wheatley was the first the first person, I'm so used to saying first black, you understand that one, was actually the second woman to write a book in America. And she'd just gotten off of a boat not too long before that, right? But she had the capability of conquering the language and writing it very well, and wrote poetry like Pope did, right? Now, not a Pope, but Pope, you know. Everybody has forgotten about the white woman that wrote a book, but everybody knows the second one. And the reason, though, is unusual, worthy of a museum, right? Is that the reason is really wonderful. The Queen of England asked to bring Phyllis Wheatley over so she could hear her read. Now, really what the Queen of England wanted was to know the potential of all those black people that the flag never stopped flying again, right? That's what it was, the potential of. The thing that America never quite learned was the potential of black people. The potential of anybody that wasn't white was somehow scary to white America, right? Is that if you talk too well too soon, well, they wanted to whip you into submission. Now, I know that sounds like I'm really overdoing it a little. That's why I'm putting it with some humor. But you see, but the point is, it was truly the truth, all right? Is that, and we understood that. We understand how to act with white folk, still do. And because if you don't, you pay the price and they don't pay nothing, right? And I mean that. They don't pay nothing. Now, the point being is, how do we come to see each other in such ways that we can, in fact, establish a relationship that is greater than that? But the fourth thing we wanted was very proof of the difficulty, and we wanted political participation. That was number 4. We knew we wanted it, knew we needed it, and knew we had fought for it, and knew we had died for it in America itself, and that we had fought in every war that this nation had toward freedom, only to be denied it. And then later on, we went overseas and fought for other people's freedom and all their wars that American politics wanted to be in. We wanted to be a part of the political participation of this nation. And as soon as we got it, right after the Civil War, and we won the right for it, and we voted the right for it, and we were to be backed up by the Northern troops, right, is that we were shot and killed and removed and beaten from office, and the United States Northern troops didn't back us up at all. And we had all these promises, and what happened is that we had the right to vote in the 1860s, and it was written down on paper, and we didn't get it working until the 1960s. 100 years later, we got a chance at doing what we should have been doing 100 years before. Now, yeah, that's right. Now, you know, I'm always going to wait for applause, you know. Now, when we look at that 100 years and realize that now we have a black man as president of the United States, how many more could we have had? How many more of everything we could have had in America if in fact we had not lied to black folk and not seen that we had myths and understandings of them that were not true. Is that it's all a wonderful thing. But I got to tell you about the fifth thing, right? Because the fifth thing and the final thing was entertainment. And we didn't ask you about that because you can't keep time. But we wanted, entertainment, we thought we could take care of that by ourselves, all right, and share it with you. Except when we try to share it with you, you thought we had to have blackface and demean ourselves. And so for a half century in this country, because of the attitudes that were never changed, for a half century, the main humor in America was blackface comedy. But it wasn't comedy to us. Right? In fact, it was blackface, but when we wouldn't depreciate ourselves enough, they put on blackface so that they could laugh at us much more. And they just bended over laughing and slapping their thighs, right? And their politicians picked up on it real quick because then they didn't have to compete, right? And so the politicians, not having to compete, would say, well, we know that they're just laughable objects. Don't worry about them, right? And ha, ha, ha. And as a result, we were left out for good, right? Don't tell me I have 5 minutes. Is that, you know, it's interesting. She gives me 5 on this hand, and he pulls my. I look for my blackface powder there for a moment. Right? Now, when we look at it, though, it becomes very important that we see a couple of things before that 5 minutes is up, and that is that every time a person or a people are involved in a great struggle, there's always a force that tries to stop them, even though they're after democracy and freedom in the land of the free and the home of the brave. All right? And as a result, everything we wanted, there was a force, particularly in the South, that never gave us a reason, just told us no. Was never able to prove that we shouldn't have freedom, just gave us a no. Well, they really told us something about we weren't white, and as a result, we didn't know enough to be free. All right? But we really didn't believe that, and we wondered why they did too, because after all, we knew them. We were the ones in the houses. We were in the high houses. We were the servants to them. So we knew they weren't all that smart. And it just reminds me that the governor of Virginia is now going to have a celebration, well, a proclamation, but to the average white man in Virginia, it's a celebration of the fact that he's going to do a history of revolutionary or Civil War Virginia, and not mention the word slavery. Well, we wondered how he could do that, but then if you can get by with the rest of the non-truths, you can get by with that one too, huh? Well, we're a little brighter than we were then and a little freer, and we got a black president, so we're going to get rid of that right quick, right? We just want you to know that, right? But very quickly, this is it. How did we break through all of that? Becomes the great story that's the center of it all, right? Is that we had to outthink and outwork and outdesire